Hey everyone, welcome to another Codex review. As always, my name is Jay, and today I'll be going over the new Cult Mechanicus Codex. That is quite the alliteration. Yes, came out today. And today, by the way, people, I'm wearing the J-Face t-shirt. If you want to get... It's really cool that my camera's actually picking up on the face recognition. If you want to buy a J-Face t-shirt, go to miniwargamerj.spreadshirt.com and you can see all my t-shirt lines. I think there's a bunch of different t-shirts, designs that I think you'll love. So go check it out. But today we're going to be talking about the Cult Mechanicus. Not only one of the coolest looking armies in my opinion, it is a solid codex. Not a lot of choices obviously, but whatever you have the choice of is really good. I argue that they probably have access to the best point-for-point HQ in the game and the best troops in the game. Their base shooting is insane for their troops. I'll be going over that after, but in a future video, because this one I'll cover the special rules, my first impressions, their formation, not the formation, their detachment, and a little bit about a couple of things. But yeah, they're really good. It's a solid codex. I really like the Scutari, but these guys will outshoot the Scutari. They're very shooting based. There is a couple of close combat options, but they're very shooting they're very a shooting army, and they will destroy any vehicle in their way, and they're nuts. The base troops have access to heavy grav cannons for free upgrades. They'll shoot anything to death. It's going to be funny. So if you want a heavy shooting ally, or just an army of hilarity, these guys are for you, and they look awesome. So we'll start off with the Cult Mechanicus Battle Congregation, which is the name of the detachment. The compulsory, though it says in my codex you need 1 troop and 2 troops, I'm guessing it means 1 HQ and 2 troops. So the compulsory is 1 HQ and 2 troops. The optionals, you can take up to 6 additional troops, so you can have up to 8 troops total. You can take up to 4 elites, up to 2 heavy supports, and 1 fortification. The reason is they have no fast attacks, so you don't need any fast attacks. And the command benefits, of course, Tech Adept, you can reroll your Warlord trait on the Warlord table, which I'll be going over in a moment. As usual, you take the detachment, you get to reroll the Warlord trait. And then Divine Chorus, if your army includes 1 or more detachments with the special rule, you can, once per game, choose to reuse your Cantable of Omnissiah that your army has already used earlier in the game. And I'll be going over these Cantables of Omnissiah in just a moment. This is the big army-wide special rule, is the Cantables of the Omnissiah, which basically allows you to, every turn, choose a different special rule for your entire army, essentially, because every model in this army has the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule. So it's pretty cool. I'll be going over them in a minute. Now, usually you can only choose once per game, but there are a couple benefits and bonuses in this codex that you can use. As you said, in this one, you can use the same one twice per game, and it's really cool. I'll be going over in just a moment. So that's the Cult Mechanicus Battle Congregation. Cool. Again, there's no fast text to choose from, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go talk about this. I'm going to sneeze in a second. Bless me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So let's go over the Blessings of the Omnissiah, because it's really cool. It's a really cool special rule. And then we'll go over Warlord traits and stuff. So the army special rule is the Blessings, sorry, the Cantables of the Omnissiah. The Cantables of the Omnissiah. And so basically, at the start of each of your turn, you could choose 1 Cantable of the Omnissiah. Tap the link, oh no, sorry. The effects of each Cantable last until the start of your next turn. Unless otherwise stated, each Cantable can only be used once per game. But unless you have the second you take the detachment, you can take 1. You can use 1 twice per game. Furthermore, the strength of each Cantable will vary according to the number of units performing it. So basically, you count up all the units in your army that have the Cantables of Omnissiah rule, which is everyone in this codex, and then the strength of your Cantable relies on that. And obviously, the more guys you have, the better the Cantable will be. At the start of your turn, add up the number of friendly units on the battlefield that have the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule, and apply the appropriate level of effect. Do not include units that are currently falling back in the total. Once a Cannibal has been activated, it remains at the level of effect until the beginning of the next turn, even if the number of units performing it changes that turn. Obviously, some of your guys may die. And if that happens, it doesn't affect the Cantable of Omnissiah. Once it's declared, it's that strength until the beginning of your next turn. Obviously, though, when you lose guys, you are going to then, you know, not going to be a good Cantable the next turn. So let's go over the Cantables of Omnissiah. There's a bunch of them. So the first one is called the Incantation of the Iron Soul. Now, if you have 1 to 3 units in your army, you get Stubborn. So friendly units with the Cantables get Stubborn. Cool. If you have 4 to 7 units, they get Stubborn and must reroll all failed morale, fear, and pinning tests. Good stuff. By the way, Stubborn, in case you don't know that, is it basically does, your leadership is not affected by any modifiers. So if you lose a combat, for example, you don't get the minus modifier of how much you lost the combat by on your leadership. You just go at normal leadership value, which is good because these guys aren't necessarily the highest leadership. And 8+, they get Fearless. So your entire army is Fearless for that turn. Awesome stuff. This is one of the ones that you may want to use multiple times. And yeah, including some of the formations. And one of the Warlord traits is that your Warlord and his unit always get the best one, regardless of how many units actually cast it. They are affected by the highest level. So in this case, they get like Fearless twice. Next one is called Shroud Psalm. If you have 1 to 3 units, everyone gets Stealth. By the way, when I say everyone, I'm meaning everyone with the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule. All right? Yeah. Not in case you're allying or anything. 4 to 7, everyone gets Shrouded. And 8+, everyone gets Stealth and Shrouded. That's amazing. So that's one of the ones you want to call turn 1. If you have 8 models on the table and you have against a heavy shooting army, call that turn 1. And your entire army has Stealth and Shrouded turn 1. That's going to keep people alive. Really alive. The next one is called Litany of the Electromancer. If you have 1 to 3 units, enemy units suffer a single Strength 4 AP- hit for each model of the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule in units that they are locked in combat with, resolved at initiative step 10 in the fight subphase. Can help you out in close combat. 4 to 7, enemy units suffer 2 Strength 4 AP- hits for each model in the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule in units that they are locked in combat with, resolved at the initiative step 10 in fight subphase. And 8+, enemy units suffer 3 Strength 4 AP- hits. Same thing. Okay, not as cool for that one. It's okay. If you're locked in close combat, you may want to use it. It's a bonus. Next one, Invocation of the Machine Might. If you have 1 to 3 units, your effect is friendly units with the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule add 1 to their strength characteristic. That's pretty solid if you're about to jump into close combat. 4 to 7, you add 2 to their strength characteristic, and 8+, you add 3 to their strength characteristic. That's awesome. So your base guy is going to run into combat and just blow up, destroy everything in close combat because they're awesome and they have access to Haywire and something in close combat as well, and that's awesome. The next one, the Chant of the Remorseless Fist. I love the names of these things. If you have 1 to 3 units, friendly units with the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule, reroll failed to hit rolls of 1 when making close combat attacks. 4 to 7, they reroll hits of 1 and 2 when making close combat attacks. Most of them are going to be hitting on 4s. And 8+, they just reroll all fail to hit rolls in close combat. The final one, the Benediction of Omniscience. 1 to 3 units. Friendly units with the Cantables of Omnissiah special rule, reroll failed to hit rolls of 1 when making shooting attacks. So this is the same thing as but in shooting instead of close combat. 4 to 7, rerolls 1 and 2, and 8+, reroll all failed to hit rolls. Cool. So those are the Cantables of the Omnissiah. And as I said, you can choose 1 per turn, and it lasts to the starting of your next turn. It's pretty fun. I think it's cool. The key is going to be to remember them. Which one's going on at which time. I think you should get the cards and put them down one at a time so you remember, or make yourself some cards and put them down so you remember which ones are in effect. Because that way it'll be easy to keep track. Because as I said, if you forget that your entire army has Stealth and Shrouded, big change in the game. Big change in the game. So that's it. So now let's go over the Warlord traits. The Warlord traits. I don't think this army has any relics. I'm going to put Spock right here. Spock likes his Codex too. So the Warlord traits. D6. So, on a 1, Reinforced Exoskeleton. This is awesome. If you roll a 1, your Warlord has Eternal Warrior. On a 1. That's usually a 6. Your Warlord gets Eternal. These Warlord traits are awesome. Number 2, one of your weapons becomes Mastercrafted. You cannot Mastercraft an item from Arcana Mechanicum. Also, they do have the relics. Number 3 is your Warlord can reroll his Feel No Pain. By the way, the one Warlord has Feel No Pain, so he can reroll his Feel No Pain. That's pretty awesome. The next one is called the Archaeotech Specialist. Basically, your Warlord or his unit discovers a mysterious objective. When your Warlord or his unit discover a mysterious objective, instead of rolling to identify it, he can choose which type. And it goes until the end of the game. That's hilariously awesome. Inside the Mind of the Machine inside the Mind of the Machine, your Warlord's close combat attacks have Haywire special rule. Cool. Which basically means, if you're hitting a vehicle or a building, on a 1 means nothing, on a 2 after you hit it, 2 to 5 after you hit it is a glance, and on a 6 it's a pen. And Layered Psalm Code. When you choose the Cannibal of Omnissiah, your Warlord and his unit always benefit from the highest level of the Cannibal, irrespective of the actual number of friendly units in the Cannibals of Omnissiah special currently on the battlefield. So if you roll 6, that's what I'm saying. So no matter what Cannibal of the Omnissiah you choose, your Warlord and his unit get the best one. So if you only have 4 units left on the table, but the Warlord and his unit get the 8th one, the 8+ one, regardless of how many are on it. That's awesome. So great Warlord traits. And let's go quickly over the relics, because I didn't think there were relics, but maybe I missed them. There's probably some relics here that I'm missing. Oh yeah, here they are. Arcana Mechanicum. So there's the Raiment of the Techno Martyr, which confers a 2-up armor save. Furthermore, all ranged weapons carried by models with the Cult Mechanicus or Skitarii faction in the bearer's unit have the Cognus Weapon special rule and the Cognus Weapon special rule. When a model snapshots with a weapon, including Overwatch, its ballistic skill is counted as being 2 instead of 1. So it overwatches or snapfires at 2 instead of 1. That's pretty sweet. If a flamer weapon with a special rule fires Overwatch using the Wall of Death rule, it automatically inflicts 3 hits rather than D3. So good stuff there. Next one, Anzion's Pseudo-Genitor. Pseudo-Genitor. When a model equipped with the Anzion's Pseudo-Genitor makes its close combat attacks, makes D6 additional attacks using the following profile. Strength 4, AP 5, Melee, Shred. Cool. D6. That's cool. Next one is the Mask of the Alpha Dominus. Mask of the Alpha Dominus. The bearer can use the Mask of the Alpha Dominus at any time to instantly change the battle protocol of any friendly Castellan robot maniple or cohort cybernetica formation within 12 inches of the bearer. And I'll talk about those in a future video. Basically, the robots have their own kind of protocols. That's cool. Otto Caduceus of Arcan Land. I'm going to butcher these. The bearer and his Otto Caduceus of Arcan Land and his unit have the It Will Not Die special rule. Cool. Uncreator Gauntlet. A model equipped with the Uncreator Gauntlet can use it in the fight subphase instead of making its normal close combat attacks. To do so, nominate a vehicle model in base contact with the bearer. If you choose an enemy vehicle, roll to hit with a single attack. If the attack hits, you can choose a friendly vehicle, or if you chose a friendly vehicle, roll a d6 and consult the following table. So you nominate a vehicle, friendly or foe, in base contact with the bearer, and on a 1, so you roll to hit with a single attack. If it hits, you roll on d6 table. So on a 1, your opponent chooses for the vehicle to regain a hull point lost earlier in the game or lose a hull point. 2 to 3, choose for the vehicle to regain 1 hull point lost earlier in the game or gain a hull point. To regain a hull point lost earlier in the game or lose a hull point. 4 to 5, Choose for the vehicle to regain D3 hull points lost earlier in the game, or to lose D3 hull points. So if you just basically, you know, if it's your opponent, you can choose to remove D3 hull points from a vehicle, and that's pretty nasty. Number 6, choose for the vehicle to regain D6 hull points lost earlier in the game, or lose D6 hull points. Invulnerable saves can be attempted against each hull point lost in this manner. Against each hull point lost. Okay. And finally, the Scryer Skull Perspicatus. At the start of each of your turns, a model with this thing can choose either to identify a single mysterious objective or to scry an enemy vehicle anywhere on the battlefield. If you choose to scry a vehicle, any friendly units with the Cult Mechanicus or Scartari faction reroll failed armor penetration rolls against that vehicle and can choose to reroll glancing hits scored in an attempt to instead get a penetrating hit until the start of the next turn. Cool stuff? So we should probably call this video here. We're at 15 minutes. So we've gone over the relics, we've gone over the detachment, we've gone over the Warlord Traits, and of course the special rule, the Cantables of the Omnissiah, and my first impressions. So basically, to sum it up, my first impressions, this is a solid codex. An amazing HQ for the points cost. The troops' guns are insane. And I like one of the elites. I'm not a big fan of the other elite, and the heavies are good too. It's a solid codex. They look amazing. Their rules are awesome, and their special rules, the Cantables of the Omnissiah, are going to be a lot of fun to run on the battlefield. And they have robots. Robots, people. So stay tuned for the next part, where I'll be going over the HQ and probably troops in extreme detail. And I'm probably going to break this up into a few videos. That way I can go into really good detail on each part. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment in the comment section down below of what else you feel about this codex. What do you think? Did I miss anything? Am I wrong? What do you think? And yeah, we'll have a discussion on this codex. I think it's awesome. See you tuned for the next part. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting.